Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the grooviest corner of the podcast universe, the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I'm joined as always by my cousin Landon.
And good day, as always. Welcome
this week,
to a new session.
Oh, sorry. I carried away, man. So this week we are here to whisk you away on a totally rad time-traveling adventure through the most outrageous decade known to humankind, the iconic 1980s. Now, I will say this. Our plan was to do the entire decade, but in looking back at each of these years and trying to determine what's worth talking about, there's so much to talk about in each of these years. We're just going to cover 80 and 81, but just to set the stage, picture this: big hair, neon spandex, Walkmans, the rise of the mullet. All right, fashion was wild, music was on fire, movies, well, I mean, that had to be the best decade for movies, right?
It was.
I mean, can we kind of agree on that?
And music.
The music was awesome.
Yeah.
This is the decade that brought us the Rubik's Cube and Pac-Man. Leg warmers were the height of fashion, and shoulder pads were as common as the air we breathed. But hey, it's not just about fashion. The 80s had it all. It was a time of technological revolutions and cultural shifts. This was the era when home computers found their way into our living rooms, paving the way for our current digital age. I mean, could you imagine life without your trusty smartphone? So yeah, our time capsule has so much to offer. We're going to dive into the hottest music hits that made us shake our groove thang, the movies that gave us unforgettable one-liners, and the TV shows that took us to imaginary worlds beyond our wildest dreams. Get ready to laugh, reminisce, and maybe even cringe a little, because we're going back to the 80s. All right, so here's how it's going to work. We're going to go, like I said, we're going to year by year. We're just doing 80 and 81. That should pretty much cover our time together today. And then we'll kind of turn this into a mini series that we'll pepper in some more of these 80s episodes in the future. But for now, let's just jump into 1980. Now, you weren't born yet.
No, I wasn't born yet, but I do want to say that I will be building into this entire podcast 80s slang words. So in this bodacious, episode, hopefully you won't find this to be a big whoop.
It's going to be totally tubular.
It's going to be a hell of a show. It's going to be rather buff.
In fact, it's going to be bogus.
Gnarly. No. And honestly, if we could get a gazillion or a bazillion or a buttload of followers, that would be fantastic. And we would be huge foodies eating on our big tubular food, while you could eat my shorts if you disagree, because this podcast is radical. So take a chill pill, buddy. Don't be a wastoid, and gab me with a spoon if you want to be a butt face. In fact, I think I'll Ralph if you do. So adios, amoebas. I got a good dad bod, and that's kind of grody when I think about it.
I think dad bod's a newer thing. That's not from the 80s.
Dad bod was around in the 80s. Bod
really?
Was around. Bod was around.
Bod was.
Dad bod is more like now.
Yeah, dad bod is more of a 2010s kind of thing. But I only understood about half of what you said, and I grew up in the 80s. So our listeners, our viewers out there who probably already considered the 1980s ancient history, or prehistory. It's probably more like it. Guys, just settle in, because the 20th century was phenomenal, and I really think that it's important to look back, because those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. Am I right, or am I right?
That's been known to be true.
All right, so a couple of big things that happened in 1980. In February, Team USA ice hockey took gold at the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid when they defeated the Soviet Union.
Known as the Miracle on Ice.
That is the Miracle on Ice. I was just about to say that. You stole my line.
I just wanted to contribute.
Miracle on Ice. This was a big deal because there was no way that Team USA was going to beat the Soviets in hockey.
In fact, Aaron, this single situation prompted my conception.
But that would have been a year later, though, right?
It does take 9 months.
Well, yeah, but
Shh.
9 months from February of 1980
All
would
right,
have
I didn't know it was
been,
February 1980. Well,
yeah,
the thought lingered. The value lingered all the way until November.
easy killer. Now,
All
I was
right.
born a month after this, so I wasn't around to witness this miracle on ice, but I wouldn't have remembered it anyway because I would have been an infant. Later on in the year, this is May 18th of 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington State erupted.
Did it kill 57 people?
I don't have that number, but if you do, I'm going to go with it. 57 sounds good.
Alas.
I mean, it doesn't sound good because it sounds tragic, and
tragic.
it was a huge ecological disaster that the area felt the ramifications of that for many years following.
Has it erupted since then like that? Of that magnitude? I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's it. I think it's dormant now. In sadder news, John Lennon was assassinated in front of his New York apartment building on December 8th.
Tragic.
By what was, you know what? Let's not even give the assassin's name.
Let's not give him credit. Also, don't forget the Iran-Iraq war began in September of 1980.
Yes, that was also tragic. You know, what's funny is actually it's not funny at all. No, the hostage situation that was going on in Iran, that was it's what's crazy is that like the Jimmy Carter administration put in all the work to get those folks out of there, but they weren't released until Reagan was in office. And so Reagan got all the credit for it.
He did.
So crazy.
It's crazy. We don't speak about it.
Tell me what the highest grossing film of 1980 was.
Oh, 1980.
You should know this.
1980?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Oh.
It's a movie we've talked about many, 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 many times. Part of a franchise. And it's probably the best one.
Okay. But wait.
Okay, I think it's the best one.
Your best one is Back to the Future.
No, that's 85. That's a different franchise. No, this is the best one of its franchise. That it's the part of a franchise.
Okay, so hold on. We're in the middle of Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
I think we've got Indiana Jones, right? Or no, we're not yet. Not yet. So if it's Star Wars, then would it be Empire Strikes Back?
It would. That was the top grossing film of 1980.
Boom.
Do you know what movie won the Best Picture Oscar, though?
Not that one.
Obviously.
Has
any Star Wars movie ever won a Best Picture Oscar?
It should have.
It should have, but no.
No.
I'll be honest. This is a movie I've never seen. I've heard of it. Ordinary People.
I've never seen it.
It was Robert Redford's directorial debut. It starred, I know Mary Tyler Moore was in it. She was nominated for Best Actress.
Hey, since we said at the beginning the Rubik's Cube, did you ever like do the Rubik's Cube and like on your own?
No, I still haven't. I have one. It's at my office. I usually, like, if I'm on Zoom calls or something and not paying attention, I will play with my Rubik's Cube and just try to solve it. I have managed to get one layer of color correct.
I've gotten the four corners and then I get one side.
I can get one side, but I can't get anything else because then I'm like, well, if I manipulate it anymore, I'm going to screw up the one side I got. So I get scared and I stop.
I one time completed it at direction from an online resource, where I followed the rules because I just wanted to see the process.
But no, the
so cheap in doing so. And I wonder if there's other people out there like me who either cheated by taking the stickers off, or they used an online resource to do it, and they look at themselves in the mirror and they say, "You phony.
You are a phony. You're a big phony."
You're you're a big phony."
So no,
Yeah.
I've never solved it. I did have, so this is getting off topic and moving into the future a little bit. In the 90s, I had a different version of the Rubik's Cube called a square one that
Oh,
was I don't know how to describe it. When it was solved, it looked like a cube. But when it was not solved, it did not look like a shape at all. It was impractical. It was uh um it just it was weird. It was weird, and I did solve that once.
yeah,
But I had to follow the instructions that came with it in order to solve it.
yeah.
So,
I think the fact is, to use another 80s term, I was quite the wannabe of someone who could actually succeed at doing it.
um
Sorry.
would that make you a poser?
I think Poser came later. Poser was
No,
90s, wasn't it?
they were using that in the 80s.
No.
I know because there was an episode of the Goldbergs where Barry and Erica kept calling each other posers.
Oh, yeah.
Um, all right. So other notable films that came out in 1980 include 9 to 5, a Dolly Parton classic, Airplane, exclamation point.
Oh, I
The
loved Airplane. Surely you can't
Roger,
be
Roger.
serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Or when he says he has a drinking problem and he just misses his face. Give me ham on
No,
white
he hits his
mayo.
face. He hits his face. He misses his mouth.
Yeah, his mouth. Yeah. Give me ham on white mayo. Check your vector, Victor.
Vector, Victor. Roger, Roger.
Everybody's probably, if my kids saw that movie, they would think it's the stupidest thing in the world.
Oh yeah. Um. So this was years ago. I was visiting Nashville, and we went to see one of my cousins on my dad's side, Jackie, and we were there at her house with her family, and her kids had never seen Airplane. And so we watched it that night, and yes, they thought it was incredibly stupid. Um, but we were all cracking up because, of course, this is a movie that we grew up on, and um, uh, it- I remember there are some scenes now that would be considered problematic, but there's lots of things you could get away with in 1980 that you can't get away with in 2023.
No.
Um, Other movies: The Blues Brothers, Caddyshack,
Oh, yeah.
Coal
Good.
Miner's Daughter,
Oh,
Flash
yeah.
Gordon,
She's basic.
Friday the 13th,
The
and
first one?
oh yeah, the original with
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon, and Somewhere in Time, starring Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. Yeah, what a
It's such a
tearjerker.
sad movie.
Seriously, where did the pocket watch come from? Because the old lady, Jane Seymour's character as an old lady, gave it to Christopher Reeve, and then he took it back in time and gave it to Jane Seymour. That pocket watch shouldn't exist. No one ever made it. It just is continually in this time loop.
Disrupt the space-time continuum.
I know. All right. Television. Taxi took home the Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series, and Lou Grant.
Speaking of go ahead.
I was going to say
speaking
Lou
of
Grant
Christopher
was
Lloyd.
the.
Taxi.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh. Lou Grant was the Outstanding Drama Series of that year.
Hugh Grant?
Lou Grant. Lou Grant. Mary Tyler Moore's boss.
Right.
He got a spinoff, after that show.
Quite memorable. Yeah.
Can you tell me what the top rated show of 1980 was?
Cheers.
No.
Sorry. I can't remember when Cheers came out.
I think that was later. I think it started
Bosom
later.
Buddies.
No, it premiered in 1980.
Did it really?
It really, really did. And do you know that the theme song on it is Billy Joel's song? Shoot, what's the name of it? My life. I
Mm.
don't care what you say anymore. This is
With
my
my
life.
life.
That's
Peter
that's the theme song
Scolari and Tom Hanks. Oh man, Peter
in
Scolari
drag.
passed away. In drag. It
Um,
was funny
but
back then.
that so the theme song though, while it is Billy Joel's song, was actually sung by Tom Hanks for the show.
Really?
Yeah, so if you go back and listen to the Bosom Buddies theme song, it is Tom Hanks singing.
You know, one of the things that I loved about the what's the WandaVision? WandaVision. How they went through the different decades, how they kind of hit the 80s pretty well, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
in
with
that
all
that
the different
episode.
theme songs.
They really hit the nail on the head with that. That was pretty good.
Um, so to answer that question, the top rated show of 1980 was Dallas.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dallas.
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
That
You
was
also had Dukes of Hazzard, 60
yeah.
Minutes,
Luke Duke.
MASH,
MASH. Yeah.
The Love
Isn't it
Boat.
funny how MASH was serious and then it became
MASH
a show?
MASH was a comedy.
No, I know, but MASH was serious, and then it was a show that wasn't serious. It was a comedy, you
Well,
know.
the movie was a comedy too.
But it was serious though. I mean, it has some serious themes in it. It's
Well, it
emotional.
always did. The whole show did. Yeah, it was
I always appreciated that about MASH, how MASH could be one of those shows. But like I think about The Office. Office is obviously a very funny show, but there were moments in that show that were heartwarming. It's a pretty good show when they can do that both, bring you from complete laughter all the way to tears.
yeah,
It's a good
MASH started
kind of
getting really political when Alan Alda started going behind the camera.
show. Yeah.
No, they did. They covered a lot of heavy topics on
Heavy
MASH,
topics. They
and
did.
it was one of those. It was a good blend of drama and comedy.
Yeah.
And it always, like, the whole run of the series was like that. But you have to
Draggy.
be when your backdrop is war.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
can't just be lighthearted all the time.
Well, it's like Good Morning Vietnam. When Robin Williams was in that. He was funny. He was very funny, but it had a serious element to it. It grounded itself very quickly, and that show was able to do the same.
Sure. Shifting to the world of comics, uh, over in the Marvel side of things, I didn't see anything big happening with DC Comics, but over in Marvel, this is the year of the Dark Phoenix saga. So this is
Really,
what, yeah, this is
this
what
was
made a big
when
splash in
Jean
X-Men.
Grey was having her Dark Phoenix moment.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yep, 1980 saw
I
that
I would have
story
thought it was
stretched for several
90.
months.
Wowzer.
No, the
When did
90s we got the cartoon version of it on the
oh
Fox
right.
X-Men
Well,
cartoon.
when did DC's Infinite Crisis come out? I thought that was
85.
80. Oh, 85. Okay, got it. A little later.
Yeah, that was for DC's 50th anniversary.
Hey, so I've got a few stats to share too, unless you're in
Go
the
for it.
middle of a go for it. So check this out. All right, so I looked up that the inflation rate in 1980 was 13.58%. Now, for those listening who are kiddos, inflation rate, 2 to 3% is really what we kind of hope for. 13.58 is high.
Yeah, it is.
So check this out too. I'll spare some of the boring ones. Interest rates for the Federal Reserve at year end were 21.5. 21.5%. Woo! The average cost of a new house was $68,700.
See, now that means more to me than your percentages there. What the cost of, like, a loaf of bread or a car or a house
Now,
would
check
be.
this out. A gallon of gas was $1.19. Somebody who was renting a house would pay $300 for your average monthly rent. And the average income that people would make was $19,500. The average cost of a new car was $7,200 as opposed to the $30,000 to $40,000 now. Ground beef was $1.39 a pound. You could even buy a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head for $4.77.
How much were eggs? Because eggs are a big thing right now, being super expensive.
A VHS home movie camera was $699.
Good Lord.
Isn't that crazy?
That's expensive.
Wowzer. Crazy stats.
Let's see. According to Billboard, the #1 song of the year was "Call Me" by Blondie. But some of the other hits were Pink Floyd's "Another Brick in the Wall" Part 2, Olivia Newton-John's "Magic," Michael Jackson's "Rock with You," and "Do That to Me One More Time" by Captain and Tennille.
Right. Yeah.
You don't hear much of Captain and Tennille these days. Some sports statistics. The Pittsburgh Steelers won Super Bowl 14. The Phillies beat the Royals in the World Series. The LA Lakers were the NBA champions that year, and the New York Islanders took home the Stanley Cup. And guess what the most sought-after game in arcades was in 1980?
1980. Well, Nintendo wasn't out yet.
Well, no. But they were making video games.
Atari was out, right?
The 2600 had not yet been released, no. But Atari was a company, and they were making video games. Right now, the home console market isn't really a big thing yet. Like right now at home, you're just getting like
what
Pong,
about that? Yeah.
television, things like that.
Well, I guess I would have guessed Pong. What is it?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Kids are plunking quarters into those machines in 1980 like it's going out of style.
Oh, that's crazy.
Do you have any memories of 1980 that you want to share with us?
Well, I remember towards the end,
I was not being
warm place, so, but I was extremely small and fragile. What about you? 80, you were born. When were you born? What's your birthday?
March 6th.
I mean, I don't know when your birthday is. You know when my birthday is?
August 2nd.
It's 3rd. August 2nd is my anniversary.
Oh, that's right. I knew it was all the same weekend.
All right, so you're a March baby. So you got to live the fullness of the 80s.
I did, except for those first couple of months. Like I said, I missed the Miracle on Ice.
So, anything to say? How was the formula?
Oh, I don't know.
Were you on the teat? I mean, what was?
I'm pretty sure. I'm certain I was on formula. I know that my parents used cloth diapers.
Ew.
Cloth diapers.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because disposable diapers weren't really a thing. I'm pretty sure cloth diapers were like that was what you did.
Some things don't come.
You probably had cloth diapers too, son.
I don't know.
Yeah, check with your parents. I'd be willing to bet.
I don't want to.
I don't need to know things like that. All right. You ready for your birth year?
Yes, the best.
1981.
Yeah.
All right. On April 12th, NASA launched its first space shuttle mission with Columbia taking to Earth's orbit.
That's right.
Isn't that exciting?
Great things were happening in 81.
We can touch the stars now. Prince Charles married Diana Spencer, King Charles III, who was then Prince Charles, married Diana Spencer on July 29th.
So I've got one too.
Deal.
Oh yeah, well I would think so. Even today, it's funny how she's thought of so long after her passing, and not just living through her kids, or anything like that. It's she really had such an impact.
She was beloved by the people of Great Britain,
and I think will last decades and centuries beyond. Even people outside of Great Britain just appreciate her. My wife, myself, we had quite an affinity in our childhood for her. So an important figure, like a celebrity. So one cool thing is IBM launched its first PC using Microsoft software DOS. That was
Yep.
done in 1981. Thus, one of, if not the greatest effects upon our culture, sociologically, and the world, economically, financially. That moment, that thing, that happening has changed everything.
That's right. You can now fit computers in your home without needing to put those giant reel-to-reel tape machines. Like,
How did that
you
even work? Have you ever wondered how that
I don't know,
even worked?
magnetic tape, man. That's how they would write
That was the
the
thing.
analog stuff on those. That's how they kept. I don't know. I don't know how things work. I don't want to know how the sausage is made. I just want to be
Just
able to
want to
play
eat
Oregon Trail. That's it.
the sausage. So those 52 hostages from Iran were released, 444 days later after their abduction in 1980.
Yeah, thank you, President Reagan,
Thank you. Carter helped a little.
who had actually nothing to do with it, but whatever.
Let them go. He was very clear. He was, just like tear the wall down when he did that
Mr.
later.
Gorbachev, tear
Yeah,
down
tear down
this
that
wall.
wall.
Uh, a little network called MTV hit our televisions on August 1st of 1981 with the appropriate song "Video Killed the Radio Star." That was
I
the
see.
first
I
music
was
video that showed up on there.
video killed the radio. It's and then I was also 1 year late on my Raiders reference. So Raiders of the
Yeah,
Lost
Raiders of
Ark
the
made
Lost Ark.
its debut.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was the top grossing film of 1981. Chariots of Fire won Best Picture.
Oh,
I've never seen that one either,
I don't think I
but I
have
do know
either.
the music. Dun 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 dun. It's very classic. Other big films include On Golden Pond, Superman 2, Arthur, and Stripes.
Superman 2, that was a good movie. I liked Superman 2 a lot. I
Do
think
you
I like
prefer
Superman
Superman 2 or the Richard Donner cut?
Oh, that's hard. I really like the Richard Donner cut,
I do
but
too.
I watched the Richard
It's a
Donner
very
cut.
different movie.
One, it's very different. I watched the Richard Donner cut much later, and I watched it, and it was very nostalgic and valuable for me, and I enjoyed it. But I had watched Superman 2 like 15 billion times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I still have to go with Superman 2. Do you know
Um,
without the DeLorean coming out this year in 1981, you would likely not have had as an effective Back to the Future movie?
oh no, because they probably would have used the refrigerator, which was their first idea for the time machine.
Refrigerator. That would not have been cool.
No.
It would have been
Um,
lame.
yeah, this is a real sidebar, but Back to the Future originally, before they decided to make the DeLorean the time machine, it was going to be a refrigerator, but they decided against doing that because they thought, well, what if little kids decide to start playing in their refrigerators and they get stuck and they die? So let's not do that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Um, TV again, Taxi got best comedy series Emmy. This time Hill Street Blues was the outstanding drama.
No, no.
Hill Street Blues was a cop show.
Did you ever watch that?
I've seen it a few times. I mean, it's your typical police procedural, just, takes place in the 80s. Well, because that's all they had. Um, Dallas was again number one, but you
Dallas.
also had great shows like The Jeffersons, Three's Company,
Three's
Too Close for Company,
Company. Oh, Three's Company. Come and knock on your door.
um, and One Day at a Time. That was another big one.
What was that one? I know that name. Where do I know that from?
It was remade recently as a Netflix series.
No, I don't know it that way. I knew the one from the 80s.
Um,
Who was in that?
Valerie Bertinelli was kind of the breakout star on that one when she was younger. In her, I don't know if she was a teenager when that started or in her 20s. Um, I can't remember much else about it though.
Hmm.
In comic books, another big X-Men storyline was Days of Future Past.
Days of Future
That's
Past.
when that one hit. So
So good.
Marvel was hitting it back to back with
Can I
X-Men.
be honest with you? While you're saying these things about Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past, I didn't know they were comic books. I thought they just made them up for the movies.
No,
So that's
they
cool.
can't come up with original ideas for the movies. Come on. Everything's stolen from the comic books.
I should have known.
You should have known. The number one song on the Billboard charts for the year was Betty Davis
Nice.
Eyes by
Betty
Kim
Davis.
Carnes.
That's good. Good
And some of
song.
the other hits of the year were Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie,
Uh,
Lady by Kenny Rogers, and
hmm.
Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield.
Oh, Ladies was by the Commodores. Lady was by the
No,
Commodores.
Lady was Kenny Rogers. Lady, I'm your knight in shining armor. We're going to get hit with a copyright infringement.
Yeah. Endless
Do
Love
you
is
have
a
any
great
of
song.
your what the cost of things were in 81?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got this.
Bring it.
All right. So the inflation had gone down, thankfully, to 10.35%, still high. The interest rate was 15.75, still high. The average cost of a new house was 78,000. The average income was now 21,000. Monthly rent was 315, so above 300 there. Gallon of gas was still 125 ish. If you wanted to buy a 19-inch color TV, it would cost you, take a guess.
19-inch color TV.
Yeah.
I'd say around $400.
You are on the money. $399.95. You're the man. All right. So if you wanted to buy some Miracle Whip, it would be $1.27 or a
You're
pound of
still paying too
turkey.
much for it.
A pound of turkey
A pound
is
of turkey.
55 cents.
Man.
If you wanted a Star Wars figurine set, now catch this. This blows my mind. A Star Wars figurine set. How much do you
Are
think
these
that
the action figures or is this
would be?
like collector's item kind of figurines, like the
Figurine set
Civil War
like toys.
figures?
Like
Okay, so
toys.
we're talking action figures.
Action figures.
Um, how many come in the set?
I don't know.
I mean, are we talking individual, like a Luke
Set's gonna be three
Skywalker?
to five. Nobody gets to call set two. Four is lame. It's gonna be 3 to 5.
All right, a set of Star Wars figures. I don't know.
It'll blow
At
your
that
mind.
point, one of them was probably like $3 or $4. So if you had a whole bunch of them, then I don't know, $25.
29.
That's pretty close.
29.99. That's a lot of money back then. You think 1981, 30
Yeah,
bucks
that's
for a
1981 dollars.
yeah, seriously, it's a lot of money now. I wouldn't spend 30 bucks on buying my kids action figures.
I would.
I'm going to Big Lots.
Now one of them is $30. To get a whole bunch of them, you'd probably have to pay a few hundred.
That's true. Don't even get me started on Legos.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
What
man,
happened to Lego?
those are the ones I have.
Um, so back in sports, the Oakland Raiders won Super Bowl 15. The Dodgers beat the Yankees in World Series. The Boston Celtics were the NBA champions, and the New York Islanders once again took home the Stanley Cup.
Of course they did.
You want to take a guess at the most popular arcade game in 1981?
Mrs. Pac-Man.
Still regular Pac-Man.
Still
There was
sucks.
something. There was something about moving that yellow circle through a maze and eating little dots that just.
Eating dots.
Uh, I mean, I don't know.
You didn't know
Did
which way
people
the
have?
ghosts were gonna come. You had to do it. And then you got the
Well,
good one, and then you go after the ghosts.
there's a kill
Retaliation.
screen on that one, right?
What do you mean?
If you get through 256 levels, you can get to the end of Pac-Man.
Did you ever get to the end of Pac-Man?
Heck no.
Who has the time for that? I had the time for Contra, but never
Apparently
the
that
time.
guy in Ready Player One, at least in the book, he did. He beat
Ooh, I
Pac-Man.
need to watch Ready Player One again. I love that movie.
He didn't do it in the movie.
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
The movie was pretty good. The book was better. But Ready Player Two, not as good.
I didn't know there was a Ready Player Two. There's a book, but not a movie.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna make the movie. I hope they don't though, because the book was really bad.
Maybe they'll make the movie better than the book.
I don't think they can.
Rarity.
I'm not optimistic about that one. But I
What
haven't
else you
heard that
got?
it's being made yet either. I just know that Spielberg helped Ernest Cline, the author, with plotting the book. So I'm guessing that he has plans to at least produce a movie, if not direct it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from 1981, your birth year?
That's it, man. That
Man,
covers it for me. I mean, I was a happy August baby. And so
probably in cloth diapers.
probably, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to ask about it. I don't want to think about it. So,
Probably best.
I mean, seriously, I'm just trying to avoid going into diapers again. So I don't really want to think about it. So
You're a few years off from that.
just a few.
All right. I was gonna come up with 5 trivia questions, but I've only got 2.
I want to hear them. Let's go. 2.
My dog Crypto is going crazy on me, so we might have to wrap this up. Let me give you these 2, and then I've got to take him, somewhere.
Yeah.
If I say the word, he'll go nuts. So let's not do that until it's time. Okay.
I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna say it in a second.
Well, he can't hear it.
Oh,
I've
he'll
got
hear
the
it.
headphones in.
Oh, you got the headphones in.
Who was inaugurated the 40th president of the United States on January 20th, 1981?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, the
The
actor?
actor?
Who was vice president? Jerry Lewis? All right. In 1981, Nintendo released what arcade game that introduced the world to a character that would later be known as Mario?
Donkey Kong.
That is correct. Yes, sir. You got both right. 2 out of 2. Way to go.
Boom. Boom. I know it's tempting because I want to say Super Mario Bros.
No.
Hey, what
Super
did Mario
Bros.
Brothers come out? Not Super Mario Brothers. What did that come out on?
Uh,
Because that wasn't originally on Nintendo, right?
it was originally an arcade game.
Arcade
It may
game
have been,
first.
yeah, it may have been 83 or 84.
Right. But it's the one where they were in the sewer. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to hit the enemies from underneath and flip them over and then jump up there and kick them off to win.
Yep. Forgettable.
The game was actually included as a mini game in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, there you go.
Which was, all kinds of fun. All right. That is all we've got this week for our look at the 80s. Those first 2 years of that decade. It is exciting to think that we've still got 8 more years in that decade to cover, and we will get around to it eventually.
Absolutely.
But for now, it's time for us to say goodbye. So
thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. If you liked what you were listening to or watching on YouTube, be sure to tell your friends. Let us know. Give us a like, a subscribe, jump down in the comments and let us know what you thought of the 80s if you were, lucky enough to be around in those days. I'd love to hear from some adults who actually remember 1980 and 1981 because, I sure don't. My earliest memories probably don't kick in until 83 or 84. So
I would be interested in people telling us, if anybody's listening, what was the favorite restaurant and franchise around back in 1980 and 81, And then also like what was like the hangout, like what would you do? Like what would you do for fun? You know, so those kind of things. Foods, like what was like a popular food in the 80 and 81? That
You and
sort
the
of thing.
cool kids go down to the peach pit.
Yeah, that's right. What's cool kid? Yeah. So
All right. Well, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.
see ya.